everybody, welcome to our weekly Facebook Live interview. I know we're a little off track today. We're at 3 o'clock on Thursday instead of our usual 6 o'clock on Friday night. But this is the only time I could get our interviewee on with us, so I felt this was an important topic that we could all discuss with everything going on in today's world with the coronavirus and the pandemic, as they're calling it, and everything else that is going on. I figured it would be a great time to bring on somebody to maybe help us understand the financial and stock market and all the other implications of everything that's going on with this. So today's guest is Tony Perrone. He owns and is the president of Estate and Business Planning. I'm having a hard time talking today, you guys, so we'll get it. So I'm going to bring Tony on with us. Hey, Tony, how are you doing today?
Very good.
Good. Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, we're a financial planning firm here in town. Do estate and business planning, help you with taxes, financial planning, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, basically anything to do with money. We kind of steer our directions as wealth planners from all the way from A to Z.
That's awesome. How long have you been in the industry? How long have you been in the business?
Over 25 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay. And are you from the Florida area?
Detroit, Michigan, but grew up in Tampa and Orlando my whole life.
Okay. Awesome. We know Tony, so we feel comfortable bringing him on with us today. We know he's going to give you guys some good advice. I'm going to hopefully offer up some stuff that we've never thought about before with everything going on. If you guys have any questions or comments, you know to type them on there and let me know what your questions are, and I will get them out to Tony for you as well. So we're just going to go ahead and start off with this. And the first thing I'm going to ask is, what is going on financially, Tony, and what are some of the financial implications of COVID-19 or coronavirus?
Well, you see what's going on in the news. You can't avoid it. I don't care if it's CNN or Fox Business, doesn't make a difference. This is big. Nobody would ever thought that somebody wanted to eat a bat many months ago, and they closed down the whole country of the strongest economy in the world. So this is mind-boggling. I have clients as old as 95 years of age that have really never seen this in their lifetime, who would have thought they would have shut this down. So pretty interesting on what's taking place. It's unprecedented. Wherever your political stance is, it could be a media-driven thing, non-media-driven. Because of the connection we are today with social media, that has a lot to do with what's going on. But we're getting through it. So we're starting to unravel. Next week, our governor came out and said they're going to start loosening and start getting back into it. So we're kind of getting through it. But tourism is going to have a big issue. Hospitality, entertainment, restaurants, they're tough. They're going to have a tough time getting back into it. But a lot of what's called the PPP money, the money to help small businesses, is just starting to hit the books right now. They just did a second wave after the big mess up of all the big companies getting it, not the small companies. That's going to start happening. Employment will start coming back. Things will start getting back on track. The reason why employment will start to come back is because on the PPP, they got to hire back their people in 8 weeks.
Okay.
Or it's not forgiven. So you're going to see a big spike of unemployment right now, but then you're going to see a major drop-off of people being reemployed, get employment back, because if they got their PPP money, they need to hire the people back or it's not going to be forgiven. So there's some economics there that media is not telling you about, that you're going to start seeing the numbers drop on unemployment quite substantially over the next month.
So, because you brought up the PPP, and the whole thing that was shown on the news was like Ruth Chris and Shake Shack getting millions and billions of dollars and then having to return it. The question I had is, how do companies like that apply for that PPP when it is supposed to be, or from our perspective here, is meant for small business, but then also aren't companies like that really not in business right now? Aren't places like Shake Shack and Ruth Chris closed down to only a small takeout or carry out portion? So how are they granted that money if they're technically not hiring the employees or have the employees there to work, like certain small businesses you're saying we would have to have if we get that?
Well, once you get the PPP, you have to hire back in 8 weeks, and you have to keep them, I believe it's until September 30th. So if you get awarded the money, you have to hire back. Even if you're not open, you got to hire them back. They might be painting the walls, cleaning the kitchen, or something like that. So it doesn't matter if you're open or not on that scenario. But there was a loophole in the law. It was 500 employees or less at each location.
Okay.
And that's what got these big companies available to get the money. But no matter what your political beliefs are, big companies employ a lot of people too. They just have other places they can go get the money. That's why the small businesses were upset. They have other ways to get it. Small business guys don't have other ways to get it. But you want all businesses to be successful because all businesses do employ. But there was a big loophole in the law right there. And also they paid the banks 5% per loan. Mm-hmm. They never put a restriction to the banks to start off small and go big.
Okay.
So business 101, if you have a $10 million loan or $50,000 loan, the banks are going to fund the $10 million loan first. They should have thought about that before they did this. They put it together quick. Do you blame business bankers? You don't really blame them. They did the business move to get the comp, but they got slapped pretty hard. The big companies that did take it, President Trump slapped them pretty hard because they have other ways they can get funding. So money's starting to go back in because he's calling them out on national television, exactly, which is going to hurt their PR. So it's going to start coming back to the small business guy, which then you can in turn hire your employees back. But you do need to hire them back within 8 weeks of you receiving the actual loan. And you do got to keep them. So even if you're not even open, like restaurants, 25, 50% capacity outside, you're going to have to hire them back still, or you're not going to be able to forgive that loan. So they might have to do something, put them on shifts or do something, but the payroll has to stay in the same average. 75% of that PPP money has to be used for payroll.
Okay, so that is based on like their payroll and their other expenditures. Do they have to have a minimum number of employees in order to apply for that PPP, or they just have to show that they have a payroll?
No, as long as they have a payroll, so you have to have a W-2. Self-employed people could do it too, sole proprietors. You have to just get with your CPA. They can help you, navigate that also. But very important to understand that you got to hire back. And there's where you're going to see a big change in unemployment right now. The problem we have, and it's going to be a question coming up, I don't want to jump ahead, the unemployment with the $600 tacked on, people are making more money in unemployment than employment. So that becomes the dilemma.
Exactly.
When you finally say come back to work for $38,000 a year and you're making $42,000 in unemployment, we have a problem right now.
Right.
But you're going to have to make a tough decision as an employee, or you might never have a job when this is over.
Right.
But we'll get into the $600 because I know that's one of the things we want to talk about.
Right. Well, since we're on business, then let me just ask real quick, what is the difference then between PPP and the economic disaster loan that's out there? I know there's two different loans. As a small business, obviously Mark and I have looked into things, and other clients that we have are small businesses. So what are the differences between these two loans?
The PPP loan I'm well versed on. I'm not well versed on the economic one as much, but the PP loan is actually forgiven 100% if you use that money for 75% of payroll, 25% of qualified expenditures. And there's a list right there on the CARES Act that does that. The other one was kind of before that you could just get a straight up loan. It's not forgiven, but the rates are really low. And I don't know much about that one because that one usually doesn't fit most people's molds.
Okay.
But there are some people that does fit. But the PPP was heaven sent. Almost too loose, in my opinion, because you don't have to show a loss and you can still get it. And the next version that we see, 3.0, 4.0, you're probably going to have to show that you've lost 20% of revenue first. Right now, you don't have to show a loss of revenue, you can get the PPP. And there's where you're seeing some of the, maybe if you want to call it abuse, whatever you want to do. Business is business. If somebody gives you something, you're a business owner, you got to take it.
Exactly. Well, that's probably how you become a bigger business as opposed to a smaller business, is you know how to deal with that. So you think then that these loans for small businesses are going to continue to, for lack of a better word, evolve so that businesses can continue to try to get on their feet and move forward? Maybe some of the smaller mom and pop businesses who I think probably will be a little more affected than, say, the bigger businesses, the corporate businesses. Do you think these things will evolve a little bit more for them so that they can continue to grow, maybe with a little bit more guidelines or strictness?
yes, they're definitely going to do something. The government's committed to recharge the economy, and they're dumping trillions of dollars into this. So they're going to keep on doing it. I think they're going to tighten it up a little bit so the abuse is not there as much. And be aware when you do a PPP application with the big banks, and then I want to start banging on banks. I don't have any legal issues, but these big banks, they might have a different agenda, but you can go and put multiple applications in.
Okay.
So I've seen the big bank, of course, that's who you bank with, but you can do all kinds of smaller banks, all kinds of institutions you can go to. And I just had a couple of my clients get it with a small community bank versus the big bank. They're giving the money out quicker, or small, even Square's doing them.
Okay.
You know, Paychecks. I mean, there's all kinds of side firms that are SBA approved now that are doing it. So you can put multiple applications in. I just had a client do it, and they just did it on Thursday, and they just got their check this week. I mean, that's how quick the smaller place did it versus the big bank. So you don't have to stop at one. You can put multiple applications in.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm sure quite a few people didn't know that. All right, so let's get out of the business aspect of things and let's go to the individuals. Since we've brought up some of the other stuff, the employment, it seems like our unemployment rate, especially someplace like Florida where tourism is king, tourism employs a lot of people here. What are some steps people can take, whether they've been laid off or furloughed or cut to part-time or maybe had to take a pay reduction so that they can continue to work? What are some of the steps they can take to protect their finances at this point?
Well, right now, just the unemployment system was not prepared, nor are they capable of handling millions of people at one time. So as much as we might hate government, and now really hate it because of how long things are, it was never designed to take this kind of volume at once. So a couple of tricks that I've learned from a couple of my clients: 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, you go online to file. You don't do it from 8 to 10 o'clock at night. You do it in the middle of the morning. I've heard people getting through and getting their applications through there. Other than that, you get your unemployment plus your $600. That's only good to the end of July, the $600 kicker to the end of July. So be very careful when your employer asks you back and you start to make that decision between the $900 a week that you can make unemployment and the $700 if you go back and get employed. Don't get greedy, because that job might not be there for you if you don't accept the job back. So, because he or she needs to hire somebody in those 8 weeks. So if you say no, they're going to move on and replace you.
So the $600 from the government, that is weekly or monthly, or is that based on any other circumstance through your unemployment? So if you're getting max unemployment, does that $600 a month cut any, or is it, $600, however it comes weekly or monthly, is that cut any, or is that just a flat, that's what they're giving?
Flat $600 plus whatever your unemployment check was.
Okay.
At that point, the way I understand it, which I had clients get it, so the unemployment check plus $600. So, and that only goes to the end of July. But there's, again, if you do the math on that, that's between $41,000 and $50,000 your average. And if you were falling underneath that, you're kind of sitting pretty right now if you got it and you actually got your check, which a lot of people didn't. And there's some people that did not qualify. We've had some people that just got a job in Florida. They didn't have enough quarters in Florida to get unemployment in our state. So then they had to go to what's called the Federal Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Assistance. There's a federal page you can go to, not just, you might not qualify for the state of Florida, but you might be able to go to the Federal Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Assistance page.
Okay. So if you get denied unemployment, like I just saw in the news, a huge chunk of people apparently who had been sitting in the queue got denied. So those people are still able to qualify for this $600 a week, but they would have to go now to the national page to reapply for this?
Yeah, they might. But here's the problem. People are trying to get the $600 that were already unemployed before this happened.
Right.
So the media is not skewing that right. Okay. People that were on unemployment are trying to get the $600. They were already on unemployment before the COVID came. No, you're not going to get it at that point. So that's a dilemma that's happening. Media twist stuff all the time. So you have to be aware of what they're saying. There's a lot of scam going on out there, a lot of misleading that's going on out there. You got to read between the lines of what's taking place. You never would have thought of that. Unemployment people were already already on it. They're trying to get the 600 on top of it, and they wouldn't even let off. They lost their job months and months ago.
Right. Okay.
Before this even happened, they don't qualify for it.
Okay. Now, if you do qualify and you are granted unemployment in the state of Florida or whatever your state is, but we're in Florida. So if you're granted unemployment in the state of Florida, does that automatically put you in then for the 600, or do you still have to go fill out something or apply for that, or because you're granted unemployment, you're now granted that as well? Is that
my understanding? It's an automatic. Once you're granted unemployment, that's already there. I'm not as familiar with exactly, but according to what I've heard, it's autopilot once you get granted.
Okay. So then that kind of answered my other question is, if you are on unemployment and you get denied, then that's another outside resource really that somebody could go to and try to, and this is all completely separate then from the stimulus package and the stimulus checks that everyone has received, being, I guess, off of your tax returns or your financials that way.
Yeah, the $1,200 per person for under 150 married couple, and $500 per kid under 18. Yes, that's totally separate ball game altogether.
Okay. Now, what if I am in this position, I lost my job, or I'm furloughed or what have you? What is going on now with, let's say, my mortgage payment or my car payment, and I can't make that, or I can't see that, and I see stuff on the news saying, oh, you don't have to, or your bank is going to help you with that. How does that work, and what can I do to help myself in that situation? Because obviously it's going to have to be paid back somewhere. It's not like they're just going to take the money off of my car payment or off my mortgage loan.
Before I answer that one, the SBA, if you have an SBA loan already, if you're a business owner and you have an SBA loan, most business owners know this by now, if you have an SBA loan already, they're forgiving the next 6 months. And when I mean forgive, they are forgiving 6 months of SBA loan payments for the next 6 months.
Oh, okay.
So if you already had an SBA loan before this happened, I have one on my building here. They've given me a letter. They're forgiving the SBA portion of that loan for 6 months. And when I mean forgiven, it's not tacked on. It's not owed later. So all business owners that had a loan probably know this by now. They got a letter from the SBA already. I thought that was a huge one. And that was a simple thing for the government to do. A lot of people don't even know that happened. Now let's go into your actual home mortgage. If it's a federally backed mortgage, and you got to call your mortgage company to see if that's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac backed mortgage, then in the CARES Act, you can go and ask for forbearance, and they can move the 3 months of payments to the end of the mortgage. If it's not federally backed, then you got to watch and you got to ask them how they're going to do it, because they could hit you at the end of 3 months for the whole payment. But if it's federally backed, 3 months goes on the end of the mortgage.
Okay.
At that point. So you just call them up. Problem is, good luck trying to call them, because that's the big issue. But I know a lot of people that have done that. You can call for your cars. There's nothing in that CARES Act that talks about that. But a lot of car loans will also push it for 3 months. You just got to find out, are they going to add it to the loan, or are they going to make you pay it at the end of 3 months? You got to clarify that.
Okay.
So you don't get this big bill in month 3 of 4 months worth. That would be devastating.
So what about if you're in a situation, and I'm sure it's probably a personal issue, but like living in an apartment complex or something like that, that doesn't apply to any of that kind of rent. Like, it's not like you can be like, well, the mortgage companies are doing this, so I really don't have to pay my apartment rent. So it's not on those same lines as anything like that.
Rent is a very touchy subject right now. Because that's a cascading effect from landlords. Yeah. They have mortgages to pay, and you lost your job, you can't afford the rent. It looks like in the next version, they might address that a little bit more with the government. They're talking about things like that. But just work with your landlord. Just don't stick them. Because remember, they have control when your lease is up. So if you don't treat your landlord properly and with respect and work something out with them, now some landlords can be a pain in the tail too. You just got to work with them to see if you can negotiate something or spread it out over the next 12 months or put it on the end. Do something. Let's work together in this crisis. But whoever's going to get ugly here, remember the landlord still has the last say when your lease is up.
Right.
And so try to treat people with respect as much as you can. I know it's going around, and don't pay your landlord, and you got to be careful with that because everybody's on the chop block. If we work together as a society, we should be okay with this, and everybody's pretty reasonable. Just don't get ugly with it, and don't take advantage of it. If you got a job and you didn't get hurt, pay your rent. Okay, pay your rent. There's no reason to play the game.
Exactly. Okay, so yeah, because I thought about that because I know I saw something that said, well, they won't evict you or they can't evict you, and I thought, well, maybe they can't now, but I'm sure when it's all said and done, in 3 or 6 months, they can. So
I read you work it out with me if I'm a landlord and okay, listen, here's what we'll do. We'll forgive 3 months. We'll make your rent go up for the next 2 years this amount, and we'll make it back up that way. You know, maybe something like that. Remember, the landlord has a payment that he has to make to a bank usually. And a lot of times those aren't federally backed. So remember, it's a cascading effect. Just because they own a building doesn't make them wealthy.
Right.
Okay, they might be debt into their eyes. And that's a family with loved ones and kids too. So everybody has to take it into consideration. Just because you own property doesn't mean you're well off.
Exactly.
You can be dead up to your eyes.
So if I was furloughed, laid off, and you brought that up when you talked about, and it may not be something you can answer, but if I was and then I'm getting my unemployment, and like you said, maybe I'm making a little bit better money, so I don't want to go back when the boss calls me. And maybe some people don't understand. A lot of these circumstances, you're still not insured. Like you still don't have your health insurance if you're laid off or whatever. And there's nothing in that government stuff or in unemployment that's going to cover your health insurance. I mean, am I correct in that, or do you know about that one?
There's nothing I saw. You're just on COBRA, which is full boat pay, and that's it. So there's nothing I've seen from the government to help with COBRA payments. If they start doing that, then nobody's going to want to go back to work. You know, I know people might hate me for saying that, but once you start being more valuable sitting home than going back to work, then we have a dilemma. So let's just hope they hire everybody back and everybody gets back to work on these government plans that are coming in for the businesses to hire people back. But that's going to be a touchy situation. But there's going to be version 3.0, 4.0, 5.0 before this is over.
Now, if I am in a financial situation, I'm getting worried, even though maybe I've called on my mortgage or I've called on my car loan and I'm laid off, I'm at home, and I know I have an IRA or I have a 401k. Can I or should I maybe consider accessing some of that money to live on?
Here's the interesting thing. You can make lemonades out of lemon right now. When you're terminated from a job, that is what's called a triggering event. And that means you can now take your 401k out and move it to an IRA. So anything with a 4 on it, I like to explain to people, is more corporate law, 401k, 403b, 457 plan. When you lose a job and get terminated, that's a triggering event. You can now roll it to an IRA, which means now you have a lot more flexibility in investments. So which means you can invest in a lot of different things. You can invest in individual stocks. You can invest in real estate even. Okay. You can buy an IRA rental property. There's a lot that can be done. So if you've been terminated, you might want to roll that 401k. Even though you're going to go back to work for them, you'll just start it up again. But you can move that money out and get more opportunity, different kinds of investments. Maybe start working with a financial planner now, because that's usually most clients' biggest asset is the 401k besides their house. So you never may have the asset minimum for people, but then now you can bring it in and say, I got my IRA. Also, you also can take your IRA and use it if you have can show damage from this COVID-19, which means you had it or you lost a job or something. You can take up to $100,000 out, and you get to use it, no 10% penalty. Oh, wow. And you have up to 3 years to pay it back or pay the tax on it, A or B. So 3 years to pay it back or pay the tax on it, and you can wait till the 3rd year to do that. So we cross that bridge in the 3rd year to see that. But I'm telling people that triggering event, and let's assume you're terminated and you're going to get hired back, take it, run, go to an IRA, it's called a rollover, and now you have a lot more flexibility on the investments and opportunity, protection, real estate, whatever you want to do, a lot more flexibility in what's called a self-directed IRA than being stuck in the 401k lineup, which is maybe 20, 30 funds is all you can have. You could go buy individual stocks, some of the great opportunities that are out there right now. So that's making lemonades out of lemon. Triggering event. Furlough's not a triggering event.
Okay.
Termination is. We're finding out furloughs, a gray area. You got to call your HR department to see if your company furlough acts as a triggering event. If you're furloughed, you're still getting benefits a lot of times. So it's not a triggering event. But
Okay.
termination, that's a triggering event. We could roll the IRA out. Now you can get in bed with a financial advisor of your choice, or just move it into a brokerage firm and trade yourself at that point in time. That's your decision. The key is there's a lot of opportunities. You can make lemonade out of lemons right now.
Okay. I'm going to go back for a second because Kim just typed in a question and she says, if my employer asks me to go back to work now that she's able to go back at a minimal capacity, my hours are minimal, will I still be able to collect unemployment if I tell them the next time I file, and will they adjust the amount? Do you know?
Wow, I don't think so. I think once you get your job back, I don't believe reduction in hours qualifies as unemployment. I'm not an unemployment specialist, so I don't know that answer exactly. Those are things that the government's going to have to address, that, yeah, they got their job back, but it's reduced hours. Now what do we do? So I don't know that answer. That's going to be an unemployment person. That might be a good guess. Get an unemployment attorney on here.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I understand her point, because with the governor coming on yesterday and saying that people can open at 25% capacity, then obviously you can't bring back 100% of your employees or their hours. So,
well, they have to, or they're not going to get that PPP forgiven.
Okay.
So yeah, they might have to come and just do something in the restaurant to do something, because if they don't match 75% to payroll, they're not going to be able to forgive that. Okay. So there's going to be a little bit of a dilemma here. They're going to have to hire people back, or this loan is going to have to be paid. Okay. So there's going to be some people getting paid full boat for not doing much work or doing a different kind of work.
Okay. Well, Kim, I hope that helps you answer your question some. And if we can find an unemployment specialist maybe for our next round of interview stuff, we sure will, because I know my son got denied unemployment and was not happy about it, and now he's asking questions, so I have no idea. My next question then, Tony, would bring me to, so we were talking about IRAs and 401ks. If I have stock now in the stock market and watching the stock and it's going up and down and up, even if you don't understand the stock and you watch the market, you can see, some days are really up and some days are really down. And then they talk about the price of oil. Would now be a time for me to consider, or should I be concerned about selling off my stock or trading my stock or getting rid of some of my stuff?
Well, let's first start off. If I knew all those answers, I wouldn't be dressing up in a monkey suit every day. First thing. Okay, we don't have crystal balls, first thing, and nobody does in this world. So it's a matter of just discipline in the game of the market and investing itself. Discipline's a big part. But there again, getting with an advisor, understanding the rules and laws. So let's assume you had non-IRA money and the market's down. There's things called what's called tax harvesting opportunities right now. You could sell non-IRA accounts and get capital losses put into your piggy bank that you can carry over for future tax returns, and then you can turn around and buy back different kinds of stock. You can't buy the same stock you sold for 30 days, but you can buy the same category of stock. Okay. So if it's communications, or if it's technology, or if it's some kind of oil stock. So if you got rid of an ExxonMobil and sold that for a loss, to get the losses to write off on your tax return, you can go buy OIL, an ETF or something like that. You can stay in the same category, you just can't have the same symbol. That's called a wash sale. So you can take a lot of losses and harvest losses. We did that with a lot of our clients, and now they have this bunch of losses, but we went right back in. So we're right back in to stay in. So be disciplined. If you're in the game, you need to stay in the game. But you can trigger something within a day, buy and sell, to capture losses and still stay in the game. If you're not in the game or weren't in the game and now you want to get in the game, you got to make sure you have the mentality for the game. Yes, you're going to probably do very well in the next 6 months to a year, but you got to make sure you have discipline, understand how this game is played. You got to have the stomach for it so you don't make bad decisions. And there's some people that bought oil on the way down and just kept on buying, it kept going down. Now it's starting to go back up. Where is it going to end? We don't know. But there's a lot of things that have high probabilities in them. So going up and opening up your own account, looking at it, trading it, but it will drive you insane after a while. Couple of things: religion, health, and money. will drive you insane in this world. That's why there's advisors and doctors and religious leaders. You need to go and kind of break away from those things. God plays a big factor because it can get very emotional right now. So you have to make sure you have the right mentality for it. There's going to be a lot of Joe stockbrokers thinking they got it figured out. Well, when you figure it out, I'll give you the assets to manage too. But it's not an exact science. There's a lot of media waves. So you really have to be careful and just don't go on what you like. Liquidity of people's balance sheets or companies' balance sheets are really what's going to get the companies going to make it through this. And so just because you like something, because you like to eat there, doesn't mean you buy that stock. Because you're not even looking deep down into the financials. If their balance sheet is not good, they might not get through this because of the liquidity of cash. So it's back to picking stocks the way you should have picked stocks and look at the P&L statements. It's not just feel anymore. You better do your homework before you go buy an individual stock based on like or feel. You better make sure the balance sheet's good.
Okay. That leads me to my next question from Erica. Erica said, what would be a sound investment for $5,000 at this moment?
First thing, if $5,000 is all you had, you should not invest it in the stock market. You should always have some kind of nest egg first in your bank. And that ranges between everybody's feelings. They always say 6 months of income and, at least in the bank account. And there's all kinds of different online money market accounts. VIO Bank or Synchrony Bank, FDIC insured money market accounts online paying in the mid ones right now. You got to build your nest egg first in the bank. You got to at least have some amount there, 10, 15, 20 grand. But then after that, then if you want to open up a brokerage account, you start just looking at what you want to do and what you can stomach. If you want to do individual stocks, that's okay to do that. I'm a big believer on stop losses on your portfolio, which means if you buy a stock, have it in your head that you're going to put an order in that if it hits a certain number, you're going to sell it, down or up. So it's called a stop loss or a limit order, up or down. So then you take the decision out of your mind emotionally, you've made it in advance. So if you're going to buy X stock and it's at $10 a share, you need to put in your mind right now, if it drops below 7, I'm out. And if it goes over 15, I'm out. You can actually put those orders in on your web page or whatever brokerage firm you're using. It's called a limit order or a stop loss order. It's already in stone. That takes the emotions and takes your sanity out of it. Okay. So you don't go crazy trying to follow it every day at work and you're going to get fired anyways because you're watching your phone all the time. Because that's how crazy it is. One person can tweet, one person can be media, one person can make a statement that can change your stock forever.
Okay. So let's say then if I do have the nest egg, like you said, just probably not, if you don't have that nest egg and you're not, if that's your, let's say I do have the nest egg and my $5,000 is my expendable cash, that is now the time to get into the stock market. If you've been considering it or thought about it before, would now be the time?
If you have the stomach for it, you go into the burning building while it's on fire. If you see what happened after 9/11, if you see what happened after 2008, and you see what happened the years following these major crises in our country, you can answer the question for yourself. Now, I can't say past results are going to be future, but history states what takes place. You can decide on yourself, but look at 9/11, look at 2008, look what happened the years following, go do your homework on that. Is it a good time? You can kind of make your judgment. Yeah, now you open up those amounts an advisor like myself won't deal with. So you're going to have to go probably do that on your own. And then you would just open up your own brokerage account. You see all these commercials out there, no fee and things like that, but no advice a lot of times too. But you go do that on your own and you start getting into the game. But as I said, if you're going to play the game, have an out and an out game of when you're going to sell and when you're going to buy. Because if you don't have that figured out in advance, it will drive you insane.
Okay. So if you go do one of these stock brokerages accounts like you were talking about, is there some place out there then to, I hate to put it to you this way because you're probably going to think this is a crazy question because there's so many people, everybody has an opinion. We all know that. So if somebody is looking and you're doing your research, where would you go to do this research to make sure that you are making a sound investment and that you're not just going with what Joe Blow says on YouTube, or what, the biggest person on Facebook or Twitter says, oh, this is what I get, or, this is my latest stock. Where would someone go to find solid information to buy stocks and know that they're doing their homework and researching properly what they should research?
All the major wirehouses, all the brokerage firms that I'm talking about that's out there, your Schwabs of the world, your TD Ameritrade, all the free trades and all that stuff, they have all that on their platform. So you can go in there and chart the stock, look at their profit and losses, look at their liquidity of cash, look at the last 5 earnings reports that are coming out right now. Every week there's earning reports on there. And we have a newsletter that goes out every Monday that you can email our firm, and we can get you on the email list, and it gives you what companies are going to have their earning reports this week. And you can look at the bottom of our newsletter, and it says which earning reports are coming out, and that will kind of give you a gauge too. But every platform has some kind of research department that you can do your work. But there again, do your work, try to find a job, do homeschool, and try to live your life. That's why I have a job. That's why you're a trainer. Some people can't train unless there's a trainer, in the room with them. And so same thing with an advisor, same thing, with a doctor. You don't cut on yourself either. So it's a whole other language. It's important. That's why you're a marketer good at what you do.
Okay. Now let's finish this up. What are some of the things people should plan for going on in the future, should plan for, let's say, even if they get coronavirus or COVID-19, what are some of the things they can plan for? How do they put some things in place for the future? Because obviously our economy is not going to get back on track tomorrow or next week, possibly not even next month. So what are some of the things we can do in order to put ourselves maybe a little bit of a step ahead as we go forward financially?
Well, the first thing is you need to get your estate planning documents in place, especially your parents who are the ones at most risk, especially if you can't even see them when they get sick. That's the big dilemma right now. If your parents got sick, you can't even go into the hospital to see them. And they could die with never seeing them again. So getting your estate planning documents in place. I know everybody's young and healthy and nobody's ever going to get this, but what I mean by that, your wills, your trust, your power of attorney, your HIPAA releases, your medical health care directives, there's all kinds of documents, and that means going to an estate planning attorney. You also can go online and get them done too. I'm not a big fan of that. There's certain things you should go cheap on, and that's not one of them. I'm a big proponent of going to estate planning attorneys. I'm not an estate planning attorney. We're money managers. We have a bunch of them we can refer you to. But getting your estate planning documents in place, your will, power of attorney, healthcare surrogate, making sure all those are all set up, living will, life support questions, making sure all that's in place now, which costs money, or if you die, who's going to take care of your kids? All that should be put in place now. That's going to cost money to get that done. I'm talking about spending money now, but this might be an eye-opener for everybody. Everybody's not invincible. There again, somebody ate a bat a few months back, and look what it's doing. So it can change your life in a heartbeat. Life is precious. So get your documents in order so your loved ones don't have to deal with it, and you get in probate court system, or you get into a custody issue, or you get into a decision, do you pull life support or not pull life support on mom and dad, and you got to live with that the rest of your life, versus you can be reading a letter that, hey, they did not want a feeding tube, and it's now their decision versus yours. So getting your estate planning documents in order with an estate planning attorney, great thing to do. Average price anywhere between maybe, I've seen them as low as $1,000, maybe up to $3,000 based on your complexity of what's going on. But getting your documents in order is so important.
Okay, awesome. Is there any other advice you can give us before we let you go?
I think people have learned that stop keeping up with the Joneses. Make sure you have savings. Make sure you have money in the bank. I know some people just can't save, and that's different because of the kind of income that they're making. Right. Got it. But the ones that have the ancillary income, don't go get the boats, the jet skis, and everything else until you get your base set up. You have to have that 3 to 6 months in savings somewhere, and then you can start moving up the ladder and doing other stuff. People are overexpended on a lot of different things, so you just got to make sure, and you may have learned your lesson on this one, and you've had a great job and never thought it would happen to you, but you better start saving some money for future, even though you could go tomorrow, and that's what I hear all the time for younger people. Just try to have that hybrid balance. Spend, live life, but also build that savings up when you do start making it again. build that savings up so you're bulletproof if this were to happen.
Awesome. All right, so you knew this was coming because we are a fitness facility. So, and I'm sure this is a super stressful time for you guys, especially with money management and the market and everything. What do you do to keep yourself sane? You work out, you go fishing, what do you do?
Well, the big thing is they're talking a big suicide depression thing coming after this because of all this financial burden that people are getting and everything. So this is going to be pretty interesting. So I'm telling all my clients, number one, don't look at your statements from March or April. I call them the virus statements. You're going to get the virus if you open your statement up. There's no reason to upset yourself. We're already past our March downturn. We're already past that low. Can we have another low? We could, but there's no reason to upset you to see where you were at and where you're at now. Don't even do it. I don't see any reason to do it at that point. You don't need that extra stress, but I would say just get out, walk, get the sunlight. I call my parents every day. Dad, Mom, 86 years old. Did you walk around your building? They say, I'm walking in the condo. No, get outside.
Yeah.
Walk. Go get air. Go get the sunlight. That's all I would tell you to do. Just remember, life's more precious than the money. You have your life. You have your health. I think a lot of family values have come back together. There could be some good out of all this when this is said and done.
I agree.
Parents that got disconnected with their kids are now reconnected. There's going to be a lot, but there's going to be some people that aren't going to be able to get through this from the depression state and financial burden. So all I would tell you to do, just remember what's important in life. And when you do get back on track, try to get that savings intact, which plays a big factor so you don't, if something like this were to happen again or whatever the next crisis is, you have money to fall back on instead of keeping up with the Joneses.
Awesome. Tony, if anybody that's watching or any of our clients want to reach out, get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that? And if they want to get your newsletter, what is your email address or somewhere they can contact to have that?
Best way to do anything is going to our webpage, and it's drophelp.com, DROPHELP.com. Reason why it's Drop Help, because we do a lot with the Florida retirement system. We do a lot of planning for all the fire and police, Orange, Seminole Lake, Osceola, Volusia County, Brevard. Two of my partners, that's what they specialize in, on different avenues they can take. So drophelp.com, and then you can sign up for our newsletter there. Every Monday you get it, gives you a lot of good information on it. We're not going to contact you because you signed up for you. We don't sell your name or anything. Just good information to get on the newsletter. I think that's important to do that. Just to get some kind of resource that's in there each and every week. Every Monday we do it around 3 o'clock. We put out our newsletter. And then once a month we put out a video of our commentary on what happened last month and what we think is going to happen the month coming. So every month we do that too. But drophelp.com, best way to do that, get on there. And you can sign up on our Facebook page too to see information also. And also on our Twitter page if you want it. All different ways you can get to us. To get this information.
Sweet. I will also link that, you guys, to our Facebook page so that you can reach out as well. Tony, I know you're super busy, and I really appreciate you taking some time to talk to us about this because finances are important, and you guys, you and your family worked out at our gym, so our gym is our family, and we want to take care of you guys on all levels, whether it be health, fitness, financial, mental, it all kind of comes into play. We want you guys to get through this all safely. So hopefully, Tony, in a couple months, we can get you back on, or even a month or so, and we can see how things are going and things are looking, maybe get some more help from you, some more opinions, whatever we got going on. But I appreciate your time today. I really look forward to hearing from you some more, and let's see what else is going on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And remember, life's more important than the money, so just enjoy life.
That's true. Hang on.